I'd say about 70% do better and improve from what you.
That's way better than our current middle school and high school kids are doing.
Anybody we show those graphs to are just amazed. They can't believe the difference.
Yeah, so once we finally emptied the place out, I went across the street and on a couple of these corners and went to what they call the shot collars. You can stand out, in those days you could stand right out here on the streets and you could see who the troublemakers were. They had their corners and you could see. So I went over to get this guy. I don't know, should I mention names? No, okay. So I went and told this guy, come on over, let me show you that it's all empty now so you can get the word out to leave us alone. And I walked him through here, showed him that the place was empty. It was just warehouses. Of course, it didn't look like this. And he said he kind of played it as if he didn't really have that kind of influence. But again, once the word got out that there was nothing left to steal in here, they stopped trashing the place. It looks like it's as fresh and new as the day we opened it. And we do that every day, not just for the atmosphere of the place, but we do it with the kids. And that even sends a message that, wow, this place, this is for us. It's kind of a we give a damn kind of a thing, whereas at the schools and some of these other nonprofits, things are run down and third rate, and we're just trying to bring kind of our hotel sensibility to this in terms of providing quality, not only in the facility but in the attitude and the instruction.
So what you've brought together in essence again is business with creativity, with the need to be still long enough to learn.
Tonight we continue our look inside of Strive with Don Anderson, Jim Tetreau, and our Trisha Mitchell on Newswire L.A. All of this and a Newswire L.A. extra coming up right after the credits. Tonight we're back at Strive. In this edition, we'll talk to Jim and Don about their plans for expanding this operation to serve even more of the area's kids in need. Additionally, some special guests, including one face you'll know, will be dropping in on us. Let's go back to our Trisha Mitchell.
Do you think that a boarding school here right in the heartland of Los Angeles will help bridge that gap between the parents not being able to teach those basic fundamental things?
It's a long-term goal I've had here to not even to build we want to convert this to a private middle school. We don't want to be a charter, we want to be a private middle school. And even beyond that, my hope is, again with funding, we'd like to acquire the properties next door and extend, and the long-term goal beyond the school would be to provide some sort of like you say, a boarding school. The reason I have come to this is I've had so many experiences over the years with certain children and families. Without getting into the long story, I even had two little girls who came and lived with me for a year because they had such a rotten home situation. And it was one of these deals, and a lot of these kids have been taught in these rotten situations that they can't report anything at school because you'll be taken away from me. You'll be thrown in the system. And they threaten their children with, don't tell on this, don't do this, and don't say too many things. And so with the two girls that lived with me, I learned that, so what do you do with it? I didn't want to report certain things, and we would lose them forever. They continued to come to Strive. So that's where I hit on the idea of the boarding. Wouldn't it be great to have a facility where the children would go to school at Strive all day, go to our after school, and live here, but not be removed to the foster care system, and the parents would still be able to have a role, a supervised role in their lives because they're still here in the community. That's how I came upon that idea.
Tandem teaching. I read about that. It's like kind of like a triangle: teacher, student, and parent. Tell me, how effective that is, being that we just talked about parents not being able to really kind of teach the kids the basic fundamentals.
I have to tell you, that's that philosophy I'm talking about that we want to use in our school.
In your middle school?
The middle school.
Okay, okay.
What we call tandem teaching at the moment. I guess we basically are, but what the tandem teaching model is you start a middle school and you have 6th, 7th, 8th, and maybe even a 9th grade. The idea is that student stays with that same teacher the whole middle school. The student goes to 7th and 8th grade, the teacher goes with them. So they know their strengths, their weaknesses, their moods, all that stuff, instead of each year a new teacher having to get to know all that. So that's the idea, one of the ideas with the middle school.
Okay. And you found that that's most important in the 6th, 7th, and 8th, because kind of when they get in the real world, they won't have the same person there to kind of coach them along. So you're basically kind of preparing them and setting them up before they get to high school.
Well, that's right. See, one of the problems down here, even with the emergence of the charter school movement, is there's a lot of elementary charter schools and a lot of high school charter schools, but they for some reason are not doing very many middle schools. They're beginning to now because nobody was doing it. So our idea, of course, with that middle school was to fill that gap. And like I said, we can do it so much better by being private versus even a charter.
So then also the tuition vesting is also a part of the middle school concept. Tell us about the tuition vesting.
Well, the idea there is the same idea that we're not giving a private superior education completely for free. Now, the general idea is that a parent, let's say and our school year would be 10 months long, for example, and if they paid $100 a month, for example, for the private school, that would be, if it's a 3-year school, middle school, that would be $3,000 obviously at the end. The tuition vesting option is they bring us 4 years later, when they bring us a high school diploma, they would get that $3,000 back. They bring us a high school diploma with a GPA above 3.5, they get it back plus interest. And the idea there is because we want to give them a superior education in middle school, but they have to keep it up when they leave middle school. They've got to find a good high school down here or out of the neighborhood. The parent has got to remain involved. The student's got to remain involved and motivated. And if the idea of receiving that $3,000 or $4,000 back at high school graduation is dangling, it's just an added incentive.
Now, what about individuals? Because with private schools, obviously you have to pay tuition. What about the kids, specifically in this area, that may not be able to afford that tuition? How would you subsidize that?
Well, everybody can afford something. Even if it was $25 a month, they can afford something. So we would scale it to that. Now, again, we're not ready to open our middle school yet, so we'll work out some of those kinks. But everybody can pay something, and they might. The parent and child might put in more service hours here, for example.
Now, just one thing to add to that. One of the reasons we even came up with the idea is that a lot of our students that were in the 5th grade in the elementary schools were having to make choices to what middle schools they were going to go to. And the parents came to us almost in tears. They were so afraid to send their little kids to the middle schools because that's when the trouble started. The gangs, affiliation, all the troubles you hear about with middle school, that's what it was. So we had the idea, well, what about, and we brought up maybe 20 parents in and said, if we had a middle school here, would you bring your kids and pay this tuition? And every parent we brought in said they would do it. So that gave us the idea that we know there's people here that would want to do it. And it wouldn't be a very large school. I think you said maybe 75 students or something.
Maybe a maximum of 125 in this facility, unless we're able to expand next door, yeah.
Okay. And if for some fluke of nature, the funding to create the middle school came along sooner rather than later, would that move your plans forward quicker?
Oh yeah, we're ready philosophically and operationally to do a middle school. The facility's ready to go. In '99, we happened upon a donor in Pasadena who kind of opened the doors, and things started to happen all of a sudden. And then he led us to another donor, and she issued a first challenge grant. It was somewhat of a smaller challenge for $75,000 when you consider the scheme of the size of the place. And that's kind of when it started. So you build on the momentum. When good things happen, you just start to build on that momentum.
Okay. You mentioned the word challenge. What does that mean to a nonprofit organization?
Well, in our case, and we have just, in fact, last week been issued something like our 4th or 5th challenge. One of our donors, just last week we met with him, he's going to issue a $300,000 challenge right now, which basically means we have to raise $300,000 and he'll match it, $300,000 and he'll match it. So that's what we're starting, yeah.
Okay. As I was reading, you've kind of been in existence functionally for about 25 years.
This is our 22nd year.
22nd.
23rd.
23rd. What are you planning for the 25th year? And then what are you planning for the next 25 years after that?
Wow.
Whoever wants to go first works for me.
Well, in this economic times, we're just trying to survive right now. It's very difficult with the economy. Donations are down, which they are for everybody. The schools are having problems, the state's having problems, the city's having problems. So we're just trying to hold on, basically, at this point. I'm 54 this year, so we'll see what happens in the next few years. If I'm able to keep doing this, we'll always be a part of Strive. But our dream is to be able to turn it over to some of our younger teachers who are interested in, doing what we're doing now, continuing the Strive.
Yeah.
What about you, Jim?
Yeah, I'll always be involved, and like I said, we're trying to work ourselves through this rough patch right now. This recent challenge we just got will help. And as he said, we're trying to train some of our staff who would be able to kind of take it out of our hands in the next 5, 6, 7 years. So we're always going to have a long-term involvement, but we're trying to kind of bring in the next generation. We have a great operation here in terms of, like you said, we're debt-free. We own it completely. It's fully renovated. So it's a great, solid foundation to move forward. So we're just, but yes, with the economy and the election year, we're having to kind of look at things month by month right now.
Speaking of election year, and we know that Obama's race for the presidency in 2008 was largely built on small donations, and you guys mentioned that on your website. Tell us how that will help you get through this patch as well, and how the lady with the dinero in the word, how her 1 penny was, just as important as someone's maybe $5 in the neighborhood that just wants to be a part of Strive. Tell us how someone could actually donate.
Well, I think you're mentioning we are getting ready to start something called a Think Small. We're asking, in fact, our goal is, the larger part of Think Small is to get 1,000 individuals and companies and family foundations locally to just do $250 a year. That's the larger end of that. But of course, we want 1,000 people to do $25 a year too. It all helps. Yeah, and we're like I said, we're very efficient down here. Like I said, no rent, no lease, no mortgage, no debt, fully renovated, and we do all this on less than $400,000 a year. So it's a small, efficient budget, and any donations are incredibly efficiently put to use here.
Right, all towards the programming.
All to the program, no overhead. There's no overhead, because even he teaches the kids. He's in the classroom with the kids, and I take part once in a while. I'm usually raising money, but we're all in there. Yeah.
We all have our part. One body, many parts, right? We're standing here with Austin Dragon, one of the board members of the Strive After School program and facility here in the 90003 zip code of Los Angeles. Hi, Austin. How are you?
How are you doing?
Wonderful. Tell me one of the main reasons why you're so involved with Strive.
For my passion for education and for children, I met Jim and Don a while ago, about 15 years ago, and at the time I was involved in terms of education, activism, and politics and all of that, and just finding out about what they were doing was just really amazing, and particularly where they were doing it, that they also had that passion to kind of give back to the community and provide excellence in this area. That's really what drew me to it. So that's why I became a board member.
Awesome. And what would you say to any other individuals that may have that same passion but don't know where they can actually go to participate, in a place like Strive?
Well, clearly as a board member, I would definitely direct them here to get involved in some way, whether financially or volunteering. But sometimes it does require a little effort on their part to see, well, what are the good organizations that are out there that actually really helping our children. There's maybe not a lot of fanfare, but they're really doing the good work and fighting the good fight. So there's different resources for that, whether it's the Chamber of Commerce or just going to the net and just looking at different after-school programs, so forth, that are not necessarily affiliated with a school or with government, but are just private entities doing that work.
And where would you like to see Strive in the next 5 or 10 years? Not just here, but maybe one every 50 miles.
I definitely would like to see Strive turn into a full-blown school. They're focusing, their short-term goal is really to focus on middle school, but I'd like to see them, K through 12, because the need is there. In addition to the students that are already here coming to the after-school program, there's this massive waiting list, and there could even be more on that. So there really is a kind of a hunger for what Strive is providing, and there are a lot of kids out there, a lot of parents out there, and I think that if they were to build into something like that at school, they would really be, beating a trail to here, definitely.
And I know this question is probably more so for the founders. What can a child do to become a part of the Strive After School program?
Definitely just contact us. Go to our website, contact us at strivela.org, just call the phone number, and definitely someone will, respond to whatever questions they have and definitely get them involved.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for talking with us.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm here with Anna Brito, who is a lead instructor here at Strive. Started off as a volunteer. Tell me, Anna, how was it when you first came in as a volunteer versus how it is now as a lead instructor?
Well, I was doing high school, so I was a little scared of new changes and a bunch of kids I didn't know. So it was a difficult experience at the beginning because I was a shy person. I didn't like speaking in public or anything like that. So coming in here gave me a lot of tools actually for my personal life. And now working with the kids, it's amazing. Now I feel like I have grown up as a person, as a future teacher, and I just love it here. I love the kids. I love, everything we just do here for them. Yeah.
And currently you're a college student,
Yes.
correct? Are you majoring in
Yes.
liberal studies?
Liberal studies, and I'm doing double major with mathematics, so we'll be 2, hopefully.
Now, do you plan to still teach here once you graduate?
Yes, actually, yes. I was thinking about it like 2 weeks ago. So I was thinking really like this place has helped me a lot. So I'm planning to give back to this place as much as I can. So yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much for speaking with us, Anna. Okay, Jeanette, hi. How are you? We're standing here in your classroom here at Strive for their after-school program. Tell me what it's like for you being able to teach the kids that come here.
Well, it's actually quite easy. We have really high expectations for our students, so coming in, their behavior is just top-notch, so it's very easy to teach them. We do a lot of reading and writing and just trying to get them up to speed. When they come to us, they're usually about 2 years behind, and we just try to catch them up so that they go back to school and they're able to be effective there.
Okay. What is your most memorable moment in teaching one of the kids here?
Oh, that's a tough one.